6:14 a.m. Southern Caribbean Sea, about 120 miles north of the Venezuelan coast. 3 Su-30 fighters drop below 2,000 feet. Speed climbing past 450 miles per hour, heading north-northeast. Distance to the carrier is 47 nautical miles and shrinking fast. No radio calls, no identification signals, just straight flight paths aimed at the strike group. The jets do not drift wide, they do not climb, they do not turn away. Instead, they tighten formation and adjust course directly toward the carrier's track, flying lower and faster than any normal transit allows. This is not how aircraft pass safely over open water. Inside the carrier, radar tracks lock in almost instantly. Distances collapse on the screen. Countdown clocks start running. Operators watch the closure rate spike as the contacts push into the red zone, where reaction time is measured in minutes, not decisions. This is not confusion. This is not poor navigation. It is a deliberate move to test how the United States reacts when the margin for error disappears. What the Venezuelan pilots cannot see yet is how much of the American response is still being held back. Stay with us if you want to follow this confrontation moment by moment. What happened in those minutes over the Southern Caribbean was not random. This stretch of sea is one of the most sensitive corridors in the region. Major shipping routes run through it. Energy traffic passes nearby every day. United States naval patrols operate here legally in international waters as part of long-planned rotations, not sudden shows of force. The presence of USS Gerald R in this area is not symbolic. It is calculated. A carrier does not drift. It moves where planners expect pressure, where reactions matter, and where any challenge can be measured clearly. That makes this location valuable, not just militarily, but politically. For Venezuela, flying combat jets this close is not about winning a fight. It is about testing limits. It is about seeing how close they can get before the response changes. These moves are meant to look bold on camera back home, even if they carry real risk in the air. The goal is not damage. The goal is reaction. For the sailors inside the carrier, this is not theory or messaging. It is a living moment. Every person on watch understands that aggressive approaches are designed to force mistakes. The pressure comes from knowing that one misread signal, one rushed move, can turn a tense standoff into something far worse. This is where training replaces emotion. Procedures exist because fear is expected. And this is where the confrontation sharpens. One side is trying to provoke a visible response. The other is trying to deny it without giving ground. That balance is the real contest unfolding above the water. If you think Venezuela pushed too far here, press 1. If you think the United States wanted this test, press 9. And subscribe to follow what happens next. The first response did not begin with aircraft or weapons. It began with detection. A clean track appeared on the main display, then sharpened as more data poured in. Speed confirmed, altitude confirmed, heading confirmed. 3 contacts moving together, low and fast. No friendly codes, no civilian patterns. Within seconds, the system classified them as Venezuelan military aircraft. Confirmation followed immediately. Secondary sensors backed it up. No scheduled flights matched the profile. No commercial traffic anywhere near the approach path. The watch officer leaned closer to the screen. His right hand lifted, then stopped just short of the console. 2 seconds passed. That pause mattered. It was the moment between seeing something and deciding what it meant. The report moved through the ship in short, calm phrases. No raised voices, no rushed calls. The strike group was alerted. Timers began running automatically, counting down the minutes until the jets would reach each defensive ring. Every screen now showed the same truth. These aircraft were not passing by. They were closing with intent. On the flight deck, activity increased without urgency. Crews stepped into position. Hand signals snapped into motion. One plane captain glanced up at the sky, then back to his checklist, forcing his focus down where it belonged. Training took over. This was not the moment for questions. Inside the ship, most sailors heard nothing at all. No alarms, no announcements. That silence was deliberate. Panic spreads faster than sound, and sound creates mistakes. The goal was control, not speed. Control keeps options open. In the combat center, one operator adjusted a setting. then froze his hand in place, waiting for confirmation. Another leaned back slightly, eyes locked on the range numbers as they ticked down. A quiet voice cut through the room. "Track solid." No one replied. They did not need to. That single sentence meant the system agreed. The picture was real. This was the critical difference. The approaching jets relied on pressure and proximity. The response relied on patience and precision. One side was trying to force a reaction. The other was making sure the reaction, when it came, would be impossible to misread. If you think the pilots were trying to provoke a mistake, press 1. If you think the United States was already 2 steps ahead, press 9. And subscribe to follow what happens next. As the minutes passed, the situation did not cool. It tightened. Radar showed new movement lifting from the south. 3 more Venezuelan aircraft climbed out of coastal airspace and turned north, joining the approach. What had been a single group was now 6 jets forming a loose wedge aimed straight at the carrier strike group. Distances kept shrinking. Speed stayed high. The picture on the screens grew more crowded, but never chaotic. Filters adjusted. Tracks separated cleanly. Every aircraft was accounted for. Nothing blurred, nothing overlapped. The system was working exactly as designed. On the bridges of the escorting destroyers, small course corrections were made. A degree left, half a degree right. No sharp turns. No visible reaction that could be read as hesitation. From the outside, the formation looked calm. Inside, every movement was measured. In the air, United States fighters climbed into position, not nose to nose, offset and watching. They held distance, matching speed, denying angles. No target locks, no aggressive pushes, just presence. The message was simple and controlled. We see you. Keep going if you choose. Time stretched in an uncomfortable way, the kind that makes seconds feel longer than minutes. In the combat center, one operator rubbed his thumb against the edge of the console, then stopped when he noticed the motion. Another took a slow breath and held it. No one spoke unless they had to. The Venezuelan jets began to maneuver. One broke slightly left, then rejoined. Another dipped lower, then climbed back into formation. Each move was noted, logged, learned. Every adjustment added data. Every pass reduced uncertainty. This was escalation without noise. No warning shouted, no alarms ringing, just pressure building through proximity and silence. The closer the jets flew, the less room there was for misunderstanding. And everyone in the room knew it only took one wrong move to change everything. The tension did not come from what had happened yet. It came from what had not happened and how close it was getting. If you think this moment was where control could have slipped away, press 1. If you think the real danger was still ahead, press 9 and subscribe so you don't miss what follows. At first, nothing seemed to change. The Venezuelan jets stayed close. Their formation flexed and tightened. Passes continued. To anyone watching casually, it looked like a simple show of nerve. But beneath the surface, the balance was already shifting. Every move the Su-30 seconds made was being absorbed. Their flight paths, their spacing, the way they climbed and descended, the timing between turns. None of it went unnoticed. Inside the systems tracking them, patterns began to form. Habits stood out. What looked aggressive from the outside was becoming predictable on the inside. The crew did not announce this realization. There was no dramatic moment when someone said the advantage had flipped. It happened quietly, almost invisibly. A nod between operators, a longer pause before the next call. Confidence replacing uncertainty without a word spoken. The Venezuelan pilots believed proximity was power. They believed flying closer increased pressure. What they did not realize was that staying longer gave away more than leaving early ever would. Every second in the air handed over information that could not be taken back. Up on the flight deck, the routine continued. Below it, the ship kept learning. The jets were still there, still loud, still close. But the edge had dulled. The threat was no longer unknown. And once a threat is understood, it loses much of its weight. The twist was not a new weapon or a sudden maneuver. It was the realization that this encounter was no longer equal. One side was still trying to be seen. The other had already moved on to understanding. If you think Venezuela stayed too long and gave away too much, press 1. If you think this was exactly the test they wanted, press 9 and subscribe to stay with us. The most dangerous moment came without warning. One Venezuelan Su-30 peeled away from the group and dropped fast, nose down, altitude bleeding away in seconds. The descent was steeper than anything before. Range numbers on the screen began falling at an uncomfortable speed. The room did not react loudly, it reacted by going quiet. On the flight deck, a few sailors felt it before they saw it. A low vibration traveled through the steel beneath their boots. Someone instinctively looked up. The jet was already there, filling the sky ahead of the ship, growing larger with every heartbeat. Defense systems shifted automatically. Screens changed color. Tracking tightened. Final layer protection aligned itself with smooth, mechanical precision. No one shouted orders. No one counted down. This was the phase where machines prepare to act because there is no time left for debate. A short radio call cut through the silence. Calm, even, almost casual. Hold. The Su-30 leveled off low, crossing directly in front of the carrier's bow. The sound hit like a physical force. Air slammed across the deck, equipment rattled, chests tightened. For a split second, it felt like the jet was close enough to reach out and touch. Inside the ship, hands stayed frozen over consoles. Eyes did not blink. The system followed the aircraft the entire time, recalculating angles, updating solutions, staying ready. But it did not fire. Close was not hostile. Aggressive was not enough. The jet roared past and began to climb. The vibration faded. The noise fell away. On the screens, the track widened, pulling back out of the red zone. The immediate danger passed, but no one relaxed. Several long seconds followed, with no movement and no speech. Everyone in the room understood how thin the line had been. One wrong input, one misread return, one nervous reaction on either side. Any of those could have turned a flyby into a tragedy broadcast around the world. But none of that happened. The carrier never changed course. The escorts held their positions. The fighters overhead remained steady. The decision had been made without force, without noise, without hesitation. Control had held when it mattered most, and the confrontation had reached its breaking point without crossing it. The break came quietly. Without warning, the Venezuelan formation turned away. One by one, the Su-30 seconds rolled south and accelerated back toward their coastline. No radio calls followed. No explanation. The radar picture thinned as the track stretched out and faded into the distance. Aboard USS Gerald R. nothing changed. The ship did not alter course. Speed remained steady. Escorts held formation. Fighters stayed on station until the last contact cleared the area. From the outside, it looked like the encounter had never happened. Inside the ship, however, the work continued. Data kept flowing. Every signal captured during the flybys was stored. Every maneuver was logged. Analysts already knew this short encounter would be studied for months. The intelligence value gathered in under an hour outweighed the cost of every gallon of fuel burned by the approaching jets. By later that day, the carrier air wing resumed scheduled training flights. Meals were served on time. Watches rotated normally. The incident was logged, reported, and filed. For a carrier strike group, this was not disruption. It was routine under pressure. Beyond the ship, the narrative shifted. Venezuelan state media released short, edited clips claiming their pilots had forced the American carrier to retreat. The footage showed loud passes and sharp turns. It did not show navigation data. It did not show the carrier's unchanged course cutting a straight line across the Caribbean. Those records told the real story. Zero course changes, zero speed adjustments. The carrier had sailed through the confrontation without flinching. That calm was deliberate. It was the message. This is how modern gray zone pressure works. One side pushes without firing. The other refuses to react in a way that creates headlines. No shots are exchanged, but lines are still drawn. And the side that loses control of the moment often loses more than the one that fires first. For Venezuela, the outcome was simple. Resources spent, patterns revealed, no strategic gain. For the United States, the result was quieter and far more useful. Limits confirmed. Deterrence reinforced without escalation. The Caribbean returned to calm skies and open water. But the lesson remained. Pressure has a cost. And sometimes the strongest response is proving it didn't work.